In Sidney J. Harris's syndicated newspaper column, Strictly Personal, he made the sage observation that the only real purpose in being educated is to be able to distinguish between what you know and what you don't know. And you can't know what you don't know until you know one thing superbly well, and can use that to judge your lack of knowledge in other things. If we're in business and have a desire to succeed in it, we're wise to hire those people who have the knowledge we lack, and not try to do the whole thing ourselves. It seems to be a curious fact that the most brilliant people do not, as a rule, become entrepreneurs. That is, do not tend to go into business for themselves. Their greater mental brilliance seems to show them with a terrible clarity the pitfalls of failure, the embarrassment, the financial loss, the anxiety, and so they tend to play it safer and find themselves more secure positions within a going concern. Hire them. The entrepreneur has been said to suffer from the bumblebee syndrome. The old cliché has it that the bumblebee cannot fly. His wings are supposed to be too short for his fat body. He's an aerodynamic miracle in that he doesn't know that he can't fly, and so he does it quite well. The entrepreneur, the person who started and starts all the businesses and organizations in the world, is the warrior king type of person as a rule. He has a good and perhaps a crafty mind. He can see the yawning, yearning jaws of opportunity, and perhaps lacking the IQ of the true intellectual, any fears of failure are swept aside by his more immediate glimpse of success, and like the bumblebee, he just flies. He is then often amazed and dismayed by the problems which present themselves and the time it takes to be truly successful. But he learns another valuable lesson, that we can learn by doing. As Emerson said, do the thing and you will be given the power. When it becomes imperative that we obtain the knowledge we need to avoid failure, we tend to obtain it. Once the business finally makes it, we can employ those more brilliant and highly talented people who chose the safer route. They can't help their larger servings of brains and the effects they produce, nor can their employers help their disposition to take chances. But it's a situation to remember. An interesting effect of all this is that the more brilliant specialists often privately poke fun at their less cerebral employer and his occasional, apparently Babbitt-like buffoonery, while he, all unknowing, just gets rich and keeps coming up with ideas to increase his organization's service to its customers. It's a kind of compensation, it seems, for the Brahmins in the back office. It's important to know what you don't know, and it's important, too, to know that for every idea you can come up with, there are very talented people who can put it together, who can build it, and make it fly. In an ant colony, there are ants to handle every job needed for the well-being of the colony. It seems to be that way with human colonies, too. Regardless of the work needed to be done, there are people willing and quite able to do it. When I fly into another city, I know there will be people there doing every job needed to be done. There will be the girls behind the coffee counters, the sweepers, the porters, desk clerks, cab drivers, housekeepers, maids. I turn on the radio, there's an announcer. It's the same on television. There are the hospital staffs hard at work with 1,000 different jobs being handled by 1,000 different specialists, from the neurosurgeon to the person who burns the debris. Grocery and drug stores will be open and staffed. If I should need a shirt or a tie, I have only to walk a short distance. And there's a very personable human being, seemingly content to be working in that particular store, in that particular town, on that particular day. It's wonderful in a way, and yet amazing. If I call the police, someone will answer, as when I need a plane reservation for the return trip. It seems that all these people are sufficiently content in their lives, as we tend to go along in ours. They don't seek difficult answers because I don't believe, and perhaps I'm wrong in this, I don't believe they're asking difficult questions. Does the man from whom I buy my shirt ask himself, what in the world am I doing working here in this shirt shop here in, say, Akron, Ohio? How about the girl behind the coffee counter at the airport at 4 a.m. when you're waiting for your plane? What's she doing there? Of what forces does she stand at the confluence at that particular coffee counter in that particular town? Why isn't she studying for a degree in engineering or medicine or agriculture? What is she doing there? Satisfied for the moment at least with that job, with the pay she's getting for that job and the hours she has to work, wearing that uniform behind that counter? What were her parents and home like? What did they talk about? What were their aspirations, their educational achievements? I hope you find this subject as fascinating as I do. Dr. William James called habit the flywheel of society. Above all, what caused them to settle for what they're getting, for what they're settling for? What caused you and me to settle what we're settling for? If it's all we really want, that's fine, I suppose, but Who has all he really wants? And if there's a gap between what we have and what we want, what are we doing? And what would we like to do? What action are we taking to narrow and close that gap? Perhaps it's more than we truly want. If we have a picture in our minds of what we really want, at least the next step on the ladder, it's good to keep in mind that we also have the key to getting it, and the key is still the same, it's never changed. It's imagination. Remember, imagination is everything. The girl behind the coffee counter in the airport, what does she want? What is she looking for? Chances are her culture has taught her, despite everything to which she may have been exposed during her lifetime, that she is to find a husband and settle down to raise a family. What husband? Who? Why? It seems to become a matter of self-image, doesn't it? We see ourselves in certain lights, living certain ways, doing certain things, settling for different rungs on the ladder, different rungs of education, ways of living, income. But have we done it consciously? That is, have we articulated and decided upon the place we're shooting for? Or have we let it be dictated by our early environment? It can be a conscious choice. For the insurance man, the waitress, for you and me. Here are some interesting definitions from a book now out of print by Dr. Emmett Fox entitled Make Your Life Worthwhile. A scientist is one who asks how. A philosopher is one who asks why. A hero is one who does the kind of thing that others are content to admire. A gentleman is one who never takes an advantage. A coward is one who sees the higher and chooses the lower. A thief is one who tries to get something on any plane which he has not earned. An adult is a person who has learned to control his emotions. A youthful person is one who's never bored. An elderly person is one who has lost the capacity for wonder. A quack is a doctor of any school who treats symptoms instead of causes. A crank is a person who does not see things in the way we do. Criticism is only an indirect form of self-boasting. The punishment of the liar is that he cannot believe anyone else. The curse of ignorance is that the victim never suspects it. That goes along with Plato's comments on the subject. The malice of poverty is to have nothing to give. The perfect man will be here when the perfect woman is here to claim him. And the man who overstresses his ancestors is like a potato plant. The best part of him is underground. He also had a good bit of advice to give. The present moment is never intolerable. It's always what's coming in 5 minutes or 5 days that makes people despair. We seldom worry about the present moment. It's things that we're looking forward to that we worry about. The present job never tires people. It's work that's waiting for them that wears them out. If people would reflect that one can only do one thing at a time, and therefore there's never more than one thing to do at a time, there'd be less fatigue in the world. On Monday, one can only do Monday's work, and for Tuesday's work, there's Tuesday. Healthy fatigue comes from healthy physical and mental work, and usually one night's sleep is enough to repair it. Nervous strain is a different thing altogether, and comes from trying to do tomorrow's work today, or the task at 4 o'clock at 2 o'clock. Live in the present, and this applies to both time and place. Keep your attention to the present moment and in the place where your body is now. Do not have your body in New York and your mind in California, or vice versa. Don't have your body functioning at noon and your mind at 6 p.m. Do a good, fair day's work and then stop. Overwork is not productive in the long run. Well, that's good advice, Dr. Fox. I find that a really good night's sleep is my best guarantee of waking up next morning full of enthusiasm and ready to go to work. But there's one more thing we can do that will make an enormous difference in cumulative achievement. In addition to doing Monday's work on Monday, we should spend some time, perhaps a half hour before work, thinking of new and better ways of doing what we do, ways of increasing our service. Jot them down on a slip of paper and drop the paper into your idea file. Some good ideas may not apply today, but will be perfect 6 months or a year from now. Others will work now. When I was a youngster, back during the Depression of the 30s, I remember that people hoped for some lucky break or miracle to lift them out of their poor circumstances and magically transport them to a life of affluence and ease. They used to say, "Someday our ship will come in." And that was a metaphor I was just too young to understand. I had a mental picture of a great ship sailing up to our house in some magical way and offloading great stores of treasure on our sagging stoop. But it didn't show up. We were breaking an important rule at the time and didn't understand it. We were looking for an effect without a cause. The capriciousness of destiny was a favorite subject with the old-fashioned novelists, too. Emmett Fox has pointed out that in their 3-volume world, people's lives were spoiled because one letter was stolen and went astray. The hero rose from obscurity to wealth and fame through saving someone from drowning at the seashore. One false step ruined an otherwise promising career. One turn of fortune's wheel solved all problems for someone else. Well, all that is nonsense. We are not at the mercy of some mysterious fate, other than a sudden, unpreventable, and unforeseen physical accident. Each incident in our lives is a trifle, and trifles have only trifling effects. In the long run, you demonstrate your character, and you cannot ultimately miss the mark for which you're fitted because of any coincidence. A particular incident may give you a temporary advantage or cause you passing grief or inconvenience, but it does not change your whole life story. An energetic and enterprising person who attends to his business will make a success of his life, whether he meets a helpful stranger on a plane or not, whether a particular letter concerning him is lost or not. The miscarriage of the letter may deprive him of a particular position. Meeting with a helpful and influential stranger may bring his success a little sooner. But if he has the qualities demanded for success, he will succeed in any case.